Welcome to The Self-Led Woman. This is a podcast about emotional eating, the experiences that shape our relationships with food, and the path back to self-leadership. These conversations go beneath behavior, held with deep respect for the wisdom of the body and the ways it learned to cope, adapt, and survive. And when we can peel back those layers and meet the parts of ourselves that need care, we begin to see that food was never the problem and we can return to who we really are. I'm your host, Megan Darnell. Let's dive right in. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been sitting with for a long time, but to be honest, I'm on a bit of a soapbox with it. So if you've ever caught yourself saying, I know what to do, I just don't do it, or why can everyone else stick to this plan and I can't? You're going to want to stay with me here. So what I'm about to say might be the thing that helps things click into place for you and also offers a little bit of self-compassion. Although this episode is about emotional eating, it's also about trauma, privilege, your capacity, and the truth about what it actually takes to change. And especially for the women who've worked so damn hard and are smart and self-aware, but they still feel like food is the one area that they just can't get a hold of. There's actually a reason for this. And it's not the one that the wellness world keeps shouting at you every time you open Instagram. So I want to speak to this, and it's something that often pisses me off. When people say things such as, oh, she's just being a victim, or I don't want to fall into victim mode, or they're choosing to stay a victim. And it's all such a personal development world cliche, but truly, I believe that it blocks more healing than it creates. When women say, I don't want to play the victim, in my opinion, they're bypassing one of the most important ingredients in a healing process, and that is self-compassion. You can't heal the younger parts of you while another part of you is shaming yourself for quote unquote being in victim. And you especially can't heal things in a culture that pretends everyone has the same starting line, because they don't. And this leads me into my point. So a regulated nervous system is a privilege. I'm going to say that again. A regulated nervous system is a privilege. So if you grew up with parents who loved you, who were attuned to you, who could respond to your needs, keep you safe, and help you co-regulate, help you with your emotions. They were parents who could consistently support you. There was predictability and structure and emotional safety. Then you won the nervous system lottery. And your nervous system had a chance to grow instead of being in survival mode. And I truly think that a lot of people walking around preaching, just regulate your nervous system, have never once lived in a body that struggled to regulate. It's like someone who's inherited generational wealth telling you to just invest when you might actually be in survival mode. And they have no idea what it's like to start from zero. So I want to give you the swimming lesson analogy because I find this really helpful to, I guess, drive my point home. So some people were born into families that when you were little, they put you in the baby pool with floaties. And then you were given swimming lessons every single year. And then slowly you were moved to the big pool. And then when you felt confident enough and your swimming skills were enough, you moved to the ocean. And you learned to swim with like support and safety and guidance. And then if you look on the flip side of this, there's someone who wasn't given floaties, nor were they given swimming lessons. They may have just been thrown in the ocean and told sink or swim. And she did swim because she had to. She had no choice. But she swallowed water, she was panicking, she was struggling. And it was by instinct and not by the beautiful support of a skill like swimming lessons. Say that woman grows up and is now standing in the same ocean next to the woman who had the swimming lessons her whole life, who might look at this woman who's struggling, swallowing water, like struggling to keep afloat, and says, oh, she's just playing the victim. No, she's drowning. And she never got what you did. So if you're someone that uses food to regulate your nervous system, I'm going to make a bet that you didn't get the swimming lessons, or you didn't get them consistently, or maybe you just got one and then that was it. It was sink or swim. So you built survival skills and you're still using them. So now when we speak to this through the emotional eating lens and through dieting, which is all online, everywhere you look. So you see someone online that lost like 10 or 20 kilos by following a nutrition plan, by hiring a PT, by doing whatever it was that they did. And you might think, oh, well, that's what I want. I want to lose that extra 5 kilos. I need to have that discipline. If she can do it, I can do it too. Great. There's some like evidence for you. But you don't know her nervous system, her upbringing, her trauma history, or her baseline. And if her baseline is a regulated nervous system and she grew up with that kind of emotional support, of course she can follow a nutrition plan. Because her system isn't requiring something else, i.e., food, to regulate. But your system might be. And this is kind of like you comparing yourself to someone that trained for the Olympic swim team. To like you who taught yourself how to doggy paddle to stay alive. It's not the same thing, not even close. And then when we see these people that followed this nutrition plan with ease and just went, yeah, I just followed the plan. I didn't make excuses. I didn't play victim. I just followed the plan with their lovely regulated nervous system. And you've got a part of you, your inner critic, that's exhausted, but they're saying things to you like, well, why didn't you just stick to it? What's wrong with you? Just follow the plan. They could do it. Why can't you? But maybe your system can't go into deficit without going into a state of survival, like where it feels like a threat. Like you don't know if maybe your system or your body is constantly bracing, it's constantly in a state of like chronic tension. And you might not even know that because that's been your normal for so many years. But that's not everybody's normal. So for you to follow these rigid rules, it's going to activate your survival mechanisms when your nervous system's already depleted. And I just want to speak to a little bit of my own story here because this was a big piece in my story. But previously, when I hadn't done that underneath healing work, And then also, I want to preface this by saying I also was in a place in my life where I felt I had enough internal safety and enough external safety around me to be able to do this. But whenever I used to try and get into a calorie deficit, it was painful. And I don't mean painful as in hard or anything like that. I mean physically painful. When I went into a deficit with food, my whole body would tighten up. There would be so much cortisol running through my body that all my muscles would tense up and my body would feel physical pain. Particularly in my back, it would feel like it had all seized up. And I'd feel like I was just kind of almost bracing for impact. It just felt so tense in my body. I felt like I was in pure survival mode. This wasn't a mindset issue. This wasn't self-sabotage. Like, my body would just do that automatically. I had no control over it. Like, that's what our nervous system does. It's here to keep us alive. Food wasn't the problem. It was the thing that was regulating me, and I had nothing else to regulate me. And so for so many women, that's what emotional eating is. It's a regulator. It's something to soothe you. It feels like, I don't know, a completion mechanism. But it's like a coping strategy, and your system's been using it for decades. So I want you to hear this. If you couldn't stick to a nutrition plan and you felt bad, you might have stuck to it for a few days or a week or so, and then you ended up eating or binging. That's okay. And you might have felt like you've been on this kind of stop-start, like hamster wheel of just trying to follow the nutrition plan. Oh, okay, I'll just try something new. I'll just try something new. There's nothing wrong with you, and you don't lack discipline. You're unsupported. And you've been trying to change behavior without actually looking underneath what's driving the behavior. And it's time to stop doing that. So if you think about these swimming lessons as that analogy, that was a support that those people got when they were growing up. You never got that. So now it's your turn to put that support in place for yourself now. Because you didn't get that emotional support or attunement, like you didn't get the swimming lessons, you didn't get the floaties, and you didn't get the safety that your system needed, you can give that to yourself now. You can put that support in place. Emotional eating doesn't stop when we just change what we eat. It stops when we are able to create enough safety and to change what food is doing for you, to change what role food is playing in your life. And this isn't some overnight thing. This is the deeper emotional work. You don't need another diet or another I just need to create new habits or rules. And this is why I created my 12-week one-on-one program, Release and Reclaim. This is an emotional eating therapy journey. And we work with the protectors behind the eating. Also those younger parts of you that are carrying the wounds, that are carrying those nervous system patterns that have been playing out. Going back and tending to those parts and meeting their unmet needs after all of these years. So you can stop going for putting all this pressure on yourself or being perfectionistic about I need to stick to this plan, or then shaming yourself when you don't. Tending really gently and with attunement to the overwhelm in your system, because your system's overwhelmed and it doesn't have another template. So we slowly start to rebuild connection with your system, with your capacity, with your sense of safety. This is change that happens from the inside out. when we can support ourselves, put that support internally in place, your relationship to food is just a byproduct of what changes. But this is what sticks. And this is what actually can change your emotional eating patterns by going back to the root cause of what it was. And it's not enough to just intellectualize this and go, oh, yeah, I emotionally eat, or I eat when I'm stressed. There will be a deeper pattern. There will be a very specific part in your system that is requiring your attention. If you've been listening to this and you resonate really deeply with it, or you're like, yes, that's me. I've been comparing myself to someone with a regulated nervous system and wondering why I can't do it. And if you don't want to have another year where you're just going to do the exact same thing, but you want to actually build that support from the inside out, truly, it's like being able to go back to that little girl and give her the swimming lesson she always needed. Like literally, this is what it's like. Giving her the floaties. Letting her go gradually from like the baby pool to the big pool to the ocean. But with that support that she needed so she doesn't feel like she's drowning anymore. And if she doesn't feel like she's drowning, she's not going to need to use food as a thing to regulate her, because she'll know how to swim. Even when life gets stressful, even when you get overwhelmed, you'll be able to help your parts with this so you stop repeating those patterns. If you want to know more, I'm just going to put the link in the show notes to Release and Reclaim. And if this is something that you want to explore, you can book a free call with me so we can have a discussion about where you're at, your unique circumstances, and if this is something that you want to explore to put that support in place for yourself, to give yourself those swimming lessons that you always needed. You get to gift that to yourself now if you choose. This podcast is for education and reflection only. It is not a substitute for therapy or healthcare. If this episode brought things up for you and you need support, please reach out to a trained therapy practitioner or health professional in your area. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode resonated, please follow or subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone who might benefit from hearing it. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Megan Darnell Therapy. If you share the episode or want to let me know what landed for you, you're always welcome to message or tag me. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time, I'm Megan Darnell, and this is The Self-Led Woman.